the major controversy has been Jamie Carragher. Jamie Carragher has been in the news. But you see here, we want to drop some facts because, you know, with Jamie Carragher, now everybody's blasting him. JJ Okocha, Mikel Obi, that's most notable amongst our former players, apart from other players are blasting, saying that Jamie Carragher said that Afcon is a small tournament. But it was not exactly so, right? Maybe now let's listen to exactly what transpired, right? It's a few seconds which we looped over. Let's listen to exactly what transpired between Jamie Carragher. We also had Micah Richards there.
And we
had Daniel Sturridge, and then of course we had Roy King and the host, right? And they were talking about this, and it was all about Salah and the Ballon d'Or. Yes, that's where this all started. All right, so let's get Jamie Carragher's exact words, and then we move on from there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to Jamie Carragher's exact words, and we move from there.
With Egypt, and he's probably not playing in the major tournament as such, or maybe got a great chance to win it.
No, but Afcon is big, wasn't it? Remember when him and Mane was going for it and the league?
I think the fact he's probably with Egypt and he's probably not playing in the major tournament as such, or maybe got a great chance to win it.
No, but Afcon is big, wasn't it? Remember when him and Mane was going for it and the league?
I think the fact he's probably with Egypt and he's probably not playing in the major tournament as such, or maybe got a great chance to win it.
No, but Afcon is big, wasn't it? Remember when him and Mane was going for it and the league?
I think the fact he's probably with Egypt and he's probably not playing in the major tournament as such, or maybe got a great chance to win it.
No, but Afcon is big, wasn't it?
Listen to that 4 times. For the fact that he's playing with Egypt and he's not playing the major tournaments. And then Micah Richards butts in. Afcon is a major tournament.
Yeah.
Carragher himself did not mention anything about Afcon.
But his expression gave it away.
I know, but what I'm saying is that let's clear something first of all. We will move forward. Carragher did not mention Afcon.
At the initial.
He never mentioned it.
No, I know. Because at the initial, he never mentioned it. Yes. But then when Micah Richards was talking about Afcon, then he gave a particular side.
Exactly. That's what I want to identify that he didn't mention it. And then Micah butts in and says, but Afcon is a major tournament. Now, the premise for this discussion was Salah's chances for the Ballon d'Or.
Yes.
And then he was talking about Premier League, Champions League. And then he said, but Salah is not in the major tournaments.
He plays with Egypt.
Exactly. He said he plays with Egypt. Yeah. And the major tournaments. And then Mike Richards says,
because that's the thing. That's the major tournament that Egypt will be participating or is always participating in. You can't bring in the World Cup because this is not the World Cup yet. We're talking about so there's an Afcon coming up in 2020. I mean later this year. So when he I'm not saying that maybe there are not some truth to what Carragher is saying. Definitely. Winning Afcon has never given anybody a good chance of when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. Yes, and that's something we have to work in. So I don't subscribe to the people that start attacking this person. Sometimes we just have to leave the messenger and look at the message. Sometimes we've got to do that. Whether he has ever won the Premier League or has never won anything in England, that's secondary. What he's saying, yes. But then it's denigrating. And if it's just about this statement, maybe it will be fine. But then when Micah Richards was talking about Afcon is a major tournament, then he give a particular side like, what are you saying? And that's why I get it. That's why it becomes personal to me and a lot of other people. I think.
Yeah, it's our competition. We have to take pride in it.
Non-verbal action.
But
it could have meant that Micah Richards, your mouth is smelling.
No.
Look, let us see. My point is this: let us say things for. It was non-verbal. I'm not saying that's what he meant. He could have meant anything. You could have meant that you did too
Mike,
shout or
something. I love how they are trying to play the game.
Let's get something clear.
He mentioned another name. He said Ian Sadio Mane. So that means he actually told you that it is the Afcon,
man.
And just give a side
but we still mentioned that Carragher never opened his mouth.
But his expression gave it away.
But let's agree fact. He never opened his mouth to call Afcon a minor
when
tournament.
When he was corrected, how did you react? When he was corrected,
I will agree on that one first. Let's agree on that one first. Because if you take this into somewhere now, I'm saying that if you take it to a court of law, like, he never said it.
He didn't come out to apologize.
Yes,
he didn't apologize. It was him standing up right.
Say it. Because let me tell you, remember that time when with Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, You remember that time?
Yeah.
And I always said it. There's a reason why in Nigeria, Nigeria is official language. In fact, the US, Donald Trump, just 2 days ago, officially signed language as the official language of the United States. It was never.
Yeah, English was never.
It was never.
Yes. English.
They didn't have, the United States didn't have an official language until Donald Trump just did it a day or two ago. Right? But for Nigeria, our lingua franca is English. But to migrate, to move to the UK, also we have to write IELTS. Right? Because of things like this. We don't. I'm coming. I'm mentioning Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp. I don't know if you remember that time. Yes. He was a journalist like us that stood up.
OJB that asked
exactly.
OJB asked him about Afcon, and then
he made mention and said, "Okay, of
course, there's a
small
Afcon,
there's a small issue of the African Cup of Nations, which is English." Whenever you are talking about it, you're talking about things that people could forget, not because that thing is small. Somebody may say, poor guy. But, my point is that was misconstrued, that Jurgen Klopp called this something small. That's not for debate.
They've not always rated
that's not for debate.
That
was not for debate. That was pure English. Because I remember Jurgen Klopp had to mention that. So let's leave that one.
Let me give you a short window.
But my point is that now, let's come back to Carragher and talk about this one now. My point is this. He mentioned, he said what he said because of Mo Salah's chances.
Yeah.
Right? And then mentioned that he was not going to play in the major tournaments. Now, is Afcon at the level of Euros or the World Cup or even the Copa America?
I have something to say.
Okay.
World Cup is the biggest, like the senior brother to every continental championship.
Yes.
Euros, Afcon, AFC, Asian Cup, and Copa America, they are all on, even CONCACAF, they are all on the same level.
Based on
the rankings of FIFA. As long as you have done well in your own tournament. Before we used to play what is called Confederations Cup.
Yeah.
Where all the champions of every confederation, they come together.
Just before the World Cup.
Yes. So it shows that everybody are on the same level. Viewership might be different. Finance-wise, it might be different. In terms of quality, it might be different. You cannot compare CONCACAF. How many North American countries do we have? Mexico, Canada, and USA.
They even play the Copa America.
Yes. So Copa America and CONCACAF, even with Asian Cup, 3 of them can be in the same category. But Afcon, when we have over 10 countries that can even jostle for the title.
They are on the same level based on the fact that they are confederations under FIFA.
They are different.
Yes, but when it comes to the
competition,
the glamour, Euro is number one. Of course, Euro is number one. But when it comes to let us rank it based on the confederation, they are all the same. But yes. I'm going to tell you that CAF champion, CAF tournament, that's Afcon, is not enough to win African Player of the Year, even in Africa. Why? Because it is just a 7-game tournament. What you have done in the season has to accumulate to join with what you've done.
And then
Rodri winning the what are they calling the Ballon d'Or was not just because of Euros. If you had brought Euros at performance, he would have not even won it. Look at what's his name, Vinicius. He didn't perform well at
he was saying that the combination, because he mentioned
it should be a combination.
League,
yes, that's
Premier
the thing.
League.
So,
and then he said the other major tournaments that
there is a major tournament.
Because you are talking about journalists and captains
coaches
and coaches
all of them,
are the ones that come together.
I feel like Jamie Carragher is knowledgeable enough to know that he's African, he's Egyptian, and he knows that if they don't play the World Cup, they play the Afcon.
Of course.
So him saying major tournaments, fine, I give him that short window. Before Michael Richards now said, okay, remember that Afcon is also a major tournament. They gave that side that means he doesn't care. Yes. For me, that means he doesn't care that, okay, then what is the Afcon? How many players? And to be honest, I want to go with Sam's point when he said, how many African players has Afcon really boosted their chances of winning the Ballon d'Or? Even Eto'o, Samuel Eto'o.
But
when he was getting nominated for the Ballon d'Or at the time, I think he came second or third. It wasn't
Salah was even second.
It wasn't the Afcon.
Yes, most times it's not an Afcon year. Most times it's not an Afcon year.
But there's something he said. If we forget the messenger and look at the message, is this a wake-up call for Afcon?
Yes, it
is.
Absolutely.
No.
Yes,
I do not think there's anything wrong.
It is.
Okay, now first of all, you have a competition that is splitting the European calendar apart.
We do not care.
Good.
Okay. We do.
We do not care.
We do. Because they don't. Yes, CAF doesn't.
We don't.
That's the truth. CAF doesn't. But you have players there. Onana made the last Afcon. He clowned almost the whole tournament.
Yes.
Let's not go into details with what happened. He clowned the whole tournament. For the fact that your players, if your players were playing, if it was CHAN, your players were playing in the continent, you could post your own. But for the fact that your players are playing in another. Majority of them are playing in another continent. They still had the dibs. What I mean is that at that particular point in time, they had the power. Onana played a day before the tournament started and started running down to come back
on the match day. That was
because he knew he was number one for Cameroon.
Of everything that was trying to happen. You cannot say if your players are getting money from, they are playing in Europe, that's where they are making the most money from and everything. And the calendar, there's a FIFA calendar.
There is something difficult for us.
Now you have a space. There's a time when they move it to June, they'll come and claim say weather.
We have climate issues here in Africa
and claim weather. Stadiums are meant to be.
No, Mike.
No. We have climate issues in Africa, Mike.
In the summer because of their weather.
Yes.
No Euros has ever been played in December, not because of the European calendar.
Even the World Cup was changed because
of the winter period. That is it. That is when they will have more fans, people traveling all over. Because generally for Europeans or maybe the Western, summer
is their holiday for them.
Is like the holiday time.
But we've done the same CAF. We played in June.
We've only done. No, that was in Egypt 2019.
We have different.
Yes, Egypt has a different weather
in Africa.
But for crying out loud, because stadiums these days have roofs.
It is not about stadium, Mike. It is not about stadium.
I mean,
no, for Qatar to be able to pull this. I think
in December,
stadiums have roofs.
Okay, we switch for
Qatar. My point is that if we keep giving this excuse moving forward,
Mike,
what if FIFA do for Qatar? What if FIFA do for Qatar in 2022?
What you're saying is the fact that we have to align to what Europe
because our players play there.
No, we shouldn't. No,
we should. Now let me tell you, we came up with the narrative. A lot of coaches said they don't like buying African players, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, why?"
Okay, wait.
Because of Afcon, we blamed Laurentis.
Because of Afcon, if you're saying
this,
it's probably known for that because he probably has said it in closed doors, and people have already accused him that all his years he never probably. How many African players? Maybe aside Quinton Fortune of South Africa, is there any other any African players that really did well? I mean, played with Salex, and this is a man that spent almost 3 decades at the top. So. But then, we have our own issues, and we always have to find a way around it. Europe, maybe the entire European continent. I'm looking at the size. Less than half, by landmass, less than half of the African continent. And this is a country of 55, over 1.3 billion people. We are like more than times two of the population of Europe. So,
and we're not that developed.
Yes, that's where majority of our players are. That's where they make their money. But then we cannot always try to listen to everything to favor them, especially when it comes to the major leagues. That's where we have all of this noise. It's coming up in December again. We are still going to have this kind of talk.
Okay,
but talking about the level of competition, and that's where CAF itself. Yes, I saw they are also trying to come on this, jumping on this bandwagon thing. Afcon is major, but then what have we done? 2023 Afcon is probably one of the biggest, one of the best organized in recent years.
2 billion
and
views.
The quality of football. In fact, they debated this. I mean, a lot of people have even said it. The VAR performance was even better than Euros, which was played around the same year. The VAR performance for that particular tournament. But then, how do we scale up? What do we do with viewership? Somebody is talking about the local leagues. How many African leagues can you tune in and then see what goes on in there? No. So how do we commercialize all this that we do have, the population, the fanaticism in quotes of how much we put into football? But that's why I said, sometimes we'll have to leave the messenger. Yes, Carragher might have gone ahead, but then there's something in that message that we need to look at. Copa America with 12 nations, that even they sometimes bring in more nations, sometimes have more viewership, even though they play the games. The last Copa America was played.
I want to debunk that.
Based on time zone, was played most of the early morning of the day. Yes. I woke up to watch most of the US games.
Not everybody's like
many people do that with Afcon. I'm talking about guys in Asia, guys in. Do they do that with Afcon?
Yes, they do.
No,
the numbers are there to show. The numbers are there to show.
What has the numbers shown us about the viewership in Africa and outside Africa?
Okay, Lawrence, let's take a look at the viewership. We have the viewership figures for maybe the most recent tournaments, right? Let's take a look at those viewership figures for Afcon, for Euros, for AFC, and of course for the Copa America. Let's take a look at those views now. Okay, now for the Euros, right? We have what there? 5 billion.
5 billion.
TV views, and prize money, US dollars 8.3 million.
For the winner.
Yes, that's from Euro, but with TV
rights,
it adds up to what you're going to have. For Afcon. Afcon is less than half of that,
yes.
2 billion.
Yes.
Which I'm shocked it even got up to that.
That is
7 million USD.
In 2023.
AFC is for Asia, 154 million.
So, Mike, I'm sorry, I'm bottling, but we need to get this number. I'm not when we're saying get the number of viewership outside Africa.
Okay, outside. Okay, no, well, this is total.
This is total. So, because the number of viewership outside, that's why, yes, it's a big deal for us in Africa. How many people outside Africa that it is a big deal for?
Sky
the
Sports.
Same way Eagles is a big deal for us.
Sky Sports were picking Afcon.
I'm saying we need to look at the numbers. We need to find that number.
We have a few messages here. So people have been dropping messages. One person has dropped, which I'll take 00208152447 WhatsApp. We'll see if we can take calls a little bit later, but we'll just take a very short time out now. Stay with us. We will be back and take your messages.
Argentina, champions of the world.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. It was all about, it was quite heated because that's the major thing happening in African football now. That's talking about Jamie Carragher and the Afcon controversy. But let's take a message from Benga. Benga from Abeokuta says, he screenshot Jamie Carragher's X post after this. And according to the post, this is what Jamie Carragher said. Salah Afcon Ballon d'Or. The point I was trying to make yesterday was that Mo Salah is at a disadvantage playing for Egypt in terms of him winning the Ballon d'Or. If Salah had an average season at LFC, that's Liverpool, and won the Afcon and was MVP, I don't think he'll win the Ballon d'Or. He went on, he clarified that. Now, this is Benga's message. Benga says, given this context provided by Jamie, I think his remarks is being blown out of proportion. And I am with him, James, on this one. He says, he didn't make that remarks to mock the Afcon. He was just trying to further examine the chances of Salah. Besides, guys, Euro Afcon might be on the same level, but one carries more weight than the other. Let's be realistic. Benga from Abeokuta. Benga, thank you for that message.
No, making that face at the sound of Afcon is a no.
Is a no. And I said you took a minute to it. It could mean a
no. It didn't mean another thing. It did not.
Okay, you're telling me now that with all Salah has done this season, he's not even a candidate. Let's even forget the Afcon now. Just say Salah's numbers will not even win in the Ballon d'Or, and I scoff at it and I be like, oh no. I'm immediately reacting to what you said.
It was a point. If you look at this, from what he said after, he said that if he had a mediocre season at Liverpool and then performed well and won the Afcon, that's what he's trying to say.
That's what I said.
The backlash.
Yes,
Mike, I did agree with. I did mention it that if it's about the clip that you played, then maybe it is fine, and I'm fine with that. But then that side.
Okay.
No, absolutely. So really, that's where I think a lot of people were now coming for him because that
even if
actually
means
you do not rate that tournament.
If you won the Euros alone, you have like an average season in the league. Nobody will vote for you because it's just a 7-game tournament. Unless they play politics.
All right, let's move on. Well, still on this, you can send your messages. We'll take them 0802 08152447 on WhatsApp. A little bit later, we can see if we can take one or two calls. Now, let's move on to another topic that has been making the waves